Raleigh, North Carolina just earned the 5th highest quality of life ranking in the United States, according to U.S. News and World Report. The study measured how satisfied residents are with their daily lives, along with how effective the city is by life-impacting factors. From social to economic to environmental factors, let's dive into why Raleigh, North Carolina has such a great quality of life. But before we do, my name is Matt Martin, and I'm a Raleigh-based realtor. I've helped tons of clients, just like you, relocate to the Triangle region of North Carolina, and if you're looking to do the same, I'd love to help you too. So these accolades videos are always fun to make because I get to talk about all the great things in Raleigh, North Carolina. But there's a pretty big disclaimer I always need to put out. Realtors have to follow federal fair housing laws to avoid the appearance of, or the actual act of, discrimination against any of a number of protected classes of consumers. Okay, so why am I bringing that up in an accolades video? Well, federal fair housing laws actually dictate that realtors can't talk about things like crime or safety, demographics, and there's even interpretations of the laws that limit what we're supposed to say about schools. So when it comes to those categories, which are contributing factors in the quality of life scoring, I'm gonna speak more generally and be a bit more vague. All right, disclaimer aside, let's jump into the details. So to come up with their quality of life index, U.S. News and World Report looked at 6 factors, each with its own weight. And we'll start with crime, which accounted for a full 25% of each city's score. Now, as I said, I can't get too specific here, but Raleigh was ranked the number 2 safest capital city in the country in 2023 by WalletHub, and the 8th safest large city in the US in 2023 by Far and Wide. So it's no surprise that Raleigh scored well in US News and World Report's index. The survey looked at the FBI's uniform crime reports to compare various cities to each other, and all that information is publicly available if you'd like to take a deeper dive into it. The next factor that the survey looked at was the quality of education, which accounted for 19% of each city's score. Using data from the U.S. News Best High Schools rankings, the survey determined the availability of a quality education by calculating the average college readiness score of all public schools in each city. Here, Raleigh ranked 8 out of 10, putting it much higher than the national average. And if you'd like more information on the area school system, please feel free to reach out to me directly and I can share some resources with you. All right, these next 4 categories make up over 50% of each city's score, and they're ones I can speak a lot more freely about. The third most contributing factor to the U.S. News and World Report score was overall well-being, which had a weight of 19%. Here, they looked at ShareCare's Community Well-Being Index, which analyzes resident satisfaction across multiple variables to determine if they're generally happy with their day-to-day lives. I'd never heard of this study, but I love it because it looks beyond just a simple, "How happy are you living in your city?" question. There's the well-being dimensions like, are you in good health and have enough energy to get things done? Are you proud of where you live and surround yourself with supportive and loving people? Do you feel financially secure? Do you have good access to healthcare and food? And do you have economic stability? Here, Raleigh scored higher than the national average in nearly every single category. Where we really shone bright was economic security, which makes sense given Raleigh's 3.8% rate of unemployment as of July 2024 versus the national average of 4.3%. The hub of our strong economy is the Research Triangle Park, or RTP, which is the number 1 largest research park in the country and employs nearly 60,000 workers across 300 companies, including titans like IBM, GSK, Cisco, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. RTP is credited with fueling roughly 1,800 startups, and it was recently ranked one of the top biotech hubs in the country, only trailing the much larger cities of San Francisco, San Diego, and Boston. This booming hub accounts for Raleigh's higher than average median household income of $88,000 versus the national median of $75,000. Sharecare's Community Wellbeing Index also looked at key social factors, including some things that you wouldn't necessarily consider when thinking about quality of life in a city. Things like how many people vote in elections, or how many residents have high-level degrees, or how many parks there are per square mile. These things show how engaged people are in their community and in the economy, and Raleigh scored highly across most of these categories. We have the fourth highest concentration of PhDs in the entire country, which means we have an incredible pipeline of talent to feed the strong economy here. And the triangle is anchored by 3 Tier 1 research universities: Duke, UNC Chapel Hill, and NC State, along with 20 plus colleges and universities that produce nearly 65,000 graduates per year. All right, next up on US News and World Report's scorecard was the Commuter Index, accounting for 16%. This is based on the US Census Bureau's calculation of average commute time, which is a composite of the time spent traveling door to door, whether by foot, public transit, car, or bicycle. The average commute time across Raleigh is 28 minutes, which is anywhere from equal to the national average to 4 minutes less, depending on which study you're looking at. Now, I grew up in LA and moved here from New York City, so I laugh when people talk about Raleigh-Durham traffic, but it's all relative. Many natives would probably cite the increase in traffic as one of their biggest grievances. But the state is investing billions of dollars into expanding our highways and freeway infrastructure, and Raleigh is building out a bus rapid transit system that will hopefully give more options to those looking for public transportation. If you're moving here from somewhere like Austin or LA, you're definitely going to find the congestion to be a lot more manageable, even during rush hour. But I will warn you, North Carolina drivers were just ranked the 5th worst in the nation, and they definitely live up to the title. Moving on, the next factor in US News and World Report's scoring was the quality and availability of healthcare, contributing 9%. Here, they used data from the US News Best Hospitals rankings to measure the quantity of ranked facilities within city limits and within 5 and 10 mile bands from the city center. It's no surprise that Raleigh scored highly here, as the region's home to 3 major healthcare systems: Duke, Wake Med, and UNC, giving all residents access to some of the best healthcare in the country. According to US News, the top accolades go to Duke, which is ranked in the top 50 hospitals nationally in 11 adult specialties like cancer, cardiology, gynecology, gastroenterology, and geriatrics. On the children's side of things, Duke and UNC's children's hospitals reign supreme. In fact, Duke Children's Hospital was named the best in the Southeast, with UNC's not far behind at number 4. So the region has incredible access to top-tier healthcare, which is one of the reasons so many people are moving here. All right, just 2 more categories left, and they both involve environmental factors. The first is the Air Quality Index, AQI, with a weighting of 7%, and the last is the FEMA National Risk Index, weighted at 5%. So, in other words, how clean is our air, and how at risk are we of getting hit by a major natural disaster? In terms of air quality, Raleigh had an AQI of moderate or better for over 90% of the year in 2023, putting it in the top third of cities nationally. All that clean air is no doubt a result of the region's abundance of trees, which is one of the first things anyone visiting the area comments on. Raleigh's called the City of Oaks for a reason, and it not only contributes to our beauty, but also to our very clean air. In terms of FEMA's national risk score, this one's a little tricky. Raleigh scored relatively moderate in overall risk, but we were deemed relatively low on the social vulnerability scale and relatively high on the community resilience scale. So, in other words, yes, Raleigh is prone to strong weather, most notably thunderstorms, lightning, and flooding. The report also calls out ice storms and hail, but in my nearly 4 years here, I haven't experienced either. But while we're prone to that weather, we have a relatively low susceptibility to the adverse impacts of these natural hazards when compared to the rest of the US, mainly due to the fact that we have a relatively high ability to prepare for anticipated natural disasters, adapt to changing conditions, and withstand and recover rapidly from disruptions when compared to the rest of the US. So if you're moving here from somewhere like California, our weather may freak you out a little bit, but based on FEMA's analysis, it's not likely to have as much impact as it may sometimes seem. So that's the breakdown of what gave Raleigh, North Carolina the 5th highest quality of life score according to US News and World Report. Which one stood out to you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Or if you're ready to check out what makes Raleigh such a great place to live, I'd love to be your guide. You can reach me by phone, email, or text, and you can find all my contact information in the link below or by scanning this QR code right here with your phone. And if you like this video, be sure to check out my whole catalog of others all about moving to, living in, and buying property in the Triangle region of North Carolina. Here's another one here that you may like, so give it a click to keep on watching.